Hi there, I'm Andrew, you're watching ThatGamerAjax, and welcome to Tales from the Tabletop. This is going to be a new series that I'm launching that is going to be discussing just some general stories that I've experienced over the years from my time both being a player and a game master for a variety of tabletop games. So for today's story, I just want to talk about the time that the players at my table decided that they wanted to be absolute agents of chaos, throw off all of my plans, and it led to probably the absolute best session that I have ever run, and I have a feeling it will probably be one of the better ones that I run for quite some time. So let's go ahead and jump right on into this story. So for a setting, I just want to say that this is part of the Veil of Void campaign that I have been running for quite some time. This is a science fiction fantasy blend tabletop game that has some really interesting rules. I've talked about it quite a bit here on the channel. But with the players that I have, they had been kind of exploring this little bit of a coup arc. The royalty in the area were kind of showing themselves to be a little bit corrupt. They were being cruel to the lesser people on this entire planet, and they were in the process of wanting to overthrow the king. So they had just started to kind of explore those and wanted to, instead take a little bit of a break from that, do a couple of quick bounties to bring in some money so that way they might be able to finance themselves a little bit better when they are taking part in this coup. Part of the bounty that they had accepted was to hunt down a pirate in the area that had been causing a whole bunch of issues with the system that they were in. So, they take this contract, they go after this pirate, and they get their butts handed to them. Honestly, I was a little surprised that the fight was even kind of as close as it was, but they needed to make a speedy recovery. They managed to get out of there, and, they had to take some time to get their ship repaired. They go through, get a whole bunch of upgrades in. At this point, we were just starting up the next session. I had planned, as the game master, that they were only going to go after this bounty, finish that out, and that was essentially going to be our session. It was going to be, short, quick, to the point, and going to be kind of more combat focused. However, my players decided that they wanted to make things a little bit more complicated. So after they get upgrades done to their ship, they come up with the genius plan of they are going to go back to the planet that they had been on for this coup arc. They were going to complete the coup. They were going to get into the new queen's good graces, and then they were hoping that she would give them a ship, which they could then use to send one of their crew members after the pirates to join them and then overthrow them from the inside and then kind of take over this whole ship. I was not prepared for any of this. I had not anticipated them wanting to go and complete this coup arc before finishing this bounty, and I have zero notes planned for this entire session. Along with them wanting to go back to this planet, they get there, and I wanted to make things, a little bit more strict, kind of show that the monarchy there was starting to get a little bit more intense. So they, had to pay an additional fee as part of a tax to land their ship, and the guys decided they didn't quite really like this that much, and they wanted to pretend that they were going to be part of either the royal family or close to the royal family, and decided they wanted to how did they refer to themselves? I know one of the players said that he was going to be the beer barrel baron. Now I decided to have it be that the locals did not like being mocked so much, particularly because there's this huge crackdown on kind of anti-monarchy propaganda. So what happened was they landed their ship and they are greeted with members of the royal guard. They were promptly arrested, and then because we play on Discord, I ended up having everybody go into individual voice channels that we had set up to be different interrogation rooms. They were interviewed, each and every one of them, by the Royal Spy Master. And keep in mind, this is all completely off script, where I asked them a variety of questions and just kind of trying to get the feel of their motives to kind of make them see that they were under investigation and that they were kind of getting on to them being involved with this possible coup attempt, especially because at this point there were kind of whispers going on around that. The whole session was great. Everybody was super in character. Everybody was upfront and honest, and we ended up running the session for probably about an hour longer than what we usually do. And it culminated in this big, intense fight. One of the players ended up getting killed. Unfortunately, that was because we had talked about changing out that character at the time. And this was something that was already agreed upon between Eric, one of my players, and myself. The others didn't really know that was going to happen. So unfortunately, I did have to kind of like force that angle into it, but it did motivate them more than anything to go after the big, bad, evil guy that we've been kind of setting up from the very beginning of the campaign that we've been playing. But overall, I think that while none of this was scripted, everything had to be improvised. I think that it really did kind of give me, as a game master, a whole bunch of experience with, just kind of like really seeing that it's the players that can really make this kind of game. And I still look back at this fondly. I was very in the zone. Everybody was on point. Everybody was playing their characters the way that they were supposed to be played. And it is some of the most fun that I've ever had with a tabletop game. So it has now become a little bit of a joke with our group that the Beer Barrel Baron is in fact going to be a persona for one of our characters, especially now that that whole arc has been completed. And I, for one, am really looking forward to what these guys are going to bring to the table next. So that's going to wrap up the first Tales from the Tabletop, but don't worry, I'll be bringing more back, as there are plenty of stories that I've got from my years playing with tabletop games and being both a dungeon master, game master, and a player. So I want to go ahead and throw it out to the other dungeon masters and game masters, out there in the universe. What are some of the most memorable moments that you've ever had from your campaigns? Let's get a little bit of a conversation going in the comments below, and if you like this story, please give it that thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Really helps a small person like myself. But I will see you next time. Bye-bye.